Welcome back to another episode of In the Foxhole. I'm your host, JC Chanowski.
And I'm Angela Schroeder.
We are excited to be here today. I've got David that I've known for, I think, 4 years. Is it 4 years?
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah. So Dave, I met with Conquer. I got to hang out with you and your wife at the Conquer Summit down in Orlando several years ago. Got to learn about your business, which is an incredible business that I'll have you tell our viewers about, which is kind of crazy because we don't have a need for that down here. Not as crazy as you guys do up there. And you also run another interesting business that something I always wanted to get into. We had talks about that down in Florida. You were able to execute on that. It's kind of shitty, but we really don't want to talk about that yet. I'll let you give the details on that. But Dave, welcome to In the Foxhole.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you having me. Look forward to just sharing my experiences through business, and I've been doing it for 10 years now. So kind of everything I can add to, everyone else out there and, make an impact in their day.
Love that. So Dave, I know your last name is Mulcahy. On the screen, it says recurring Dave. So maybe our viewers might want to know why, and you just got to tell me the answer. So
yeah, so everything I do is recurring. My goal in business is to find a client, make the best value I can out of them, and do recurring services. That could be in pest control, which I currently am in. It can be in pet waste management, or it could be Christmas lights. I know that you're big in Christmas lights. It's just a one-time-a-year Christmas lights. Could be multiple if you did like a summer thing. But my services are either weekly, monthly, or they could be quarterly. So everything I want to do, specialize in, is recurring business. Back to when I started in business out of college, when I was running a heating oil company, set deck of clients, we recurred the delivery, recurred the service, fell in love with the model. So what I do now is I've got a couple different businesses. You can see them in the background. Is Deer. We do all natural deer tick and mosquito control based out of South Shore, Massachusetts. Been doing that since 2014. When I got the decision and the option from my father, a hard conversation with him just about this time of year was, we just had our annual meeting at the business that I worked for, and you will never get ownership here. My father was an owner, and he had to come and tell me it was over, on my side at least. You got to go find something you want to do. And I had an opportunity for probably about 7 years before that to watch two competing mosquito companies in the same town grow every year. And every year the growth, I would just see someone puts an extra truck on the road. Someone puts 2 trucks on the road. But they were both surviving in this high income town. And when it came time in 2014 for me to make a decision, I looked around at trash, I looked around at restaurants, and I made the decision that I'm going to actually have a conversation with a franchise, and how can I do this? And Deer was the local franchise in my area, started in Wayland, Mass. And I had a conversation with the founders. And I brought my then fiance, Carrie, now wife. And I said, let's hear this out. And there are rules and regulations that we never thought we'd have to comply with. And I was 25. And at the end of the meeting, I said, okay, well, let's look back at this, let's see what's up. And the numbers made sense because I knew nothing. We've all done something that this is a great idea because we know nothing, but it's like a solid idea. And because I knew nothing, it was the best decision I made. If I had known anything, I probably would have been nah, I'm going to pass. But with that, just being naive in business was this is going to be great and I'm going to make it what it is. But I know that it's an emerging brand. It's going to take time and I'm going to have to do everything and I'm going to have to own this thing heavily. So signed my documents, I believe it was June 4th, 2014. Got married July 26th. Quit my job mid-August. Went down to part-time and sold my house and moved 45 minutes away into my in-laws' summer house and said, all right, how are we going to make this work? And that was my entry into business. 56 clients I started with. Happy to say that we still have many of them. The reason we don't is because some of them moved. and we've scaled up. We now projection of 2023, we did just under $4 million in that one location. And then we did about 500K in my secondary location.
Congrats.
Thanks, man. So it's been this like jumping. I didn't actually like I was in the truck until 2019. My general manager will tell me I wasn't, but I was. But I had to say, okay, how am I going to put this system together? How am I going to, the business has some systems, but it's a early franchise. Talk to the franchisors all the time, build systems. And I was able to actually find Conquer 2019, jumped in heavily as a Conquer and scaled my business through COVID. So we were about 750 before COVID. We ended when I kind of officially like stopped in Conquer coaching, being coached, I was about 3.2. And then we're scaling at this point. We take a little step back in the scaling and how quickly we're going to go. But that's been my essential journey. And in 2021, 2022. Yeah, 2022. I have a general manager. His name's Zach. He's a baller. I knew he wanted more in business and more in life. So I decided to start Go Scoopers with him, where we pick up dog poop. That model is inexpensive services frequently. So you have to have capacity dialed in. And that's been fun to take something that has no branding, build a brand, build systems, and make it so, we can't use our client list. We have to just go out and start all over again. So we've learned, well, why isn't this working, but it works in this business? How do we transfer this knowledge to that? How many employees do we need? How many not? How many trucks do we need? So it's been a really fun, almost 10 years in business for myself, and giving back to the franchise community. And now I do Conquer Coach part of my week.
It's awesome that you can compare that perspective of your first, joining in was with the franchise model of, like you said, I love how you started that of like, oh, there's a lot of rules here. Because it's the good and bad of starting a business, right? Like there is a blueprint, there are processes, there are things in place, but it takes away a little bit of that thing we enjoy and maybe gets us in trouble in entrepreneurship of so much freedom to design our own thing and go down the right
There
path.
are rules, and there are things that I don't even have to worry about, really. I don't have to worry about my website. I know my website's going to be managed. So it's like, all right, I don't have to worry about that, but I got to follow what the website goes by, and I can't do things, some ways. I've had a great experience with the franchisors that I helped them grow a lot. I became the director of operations in 2020, became the COO in 2021, and did that for multiple years on a full-time basis as I was scaling my locations. And then my life changed in 2023. And this is a pivotal moment really for everyone who's listening to realize that you can be on the top of the world and within seconds it can change. And it was one of these, nothing's going to knock us down. And then we got smacked in the face hard. So last year after the summit, Conquer Summit, I'm home with my family. I'm going to Utah the next week to go to a mastermind. And my wife said, hey, I'll take the kids downstairs. I'm going to jump on the Peloton. They're just going to play. You can pack. And my oldest, Wyatt, was probably shouldn't have been doing this, but he was sitting on top of a play structure in my basement, a play kitchen, and he fell over. Simply fell. He's 6 years old. He was 5 years old, fractured his collarbone and fractured his skull. We didn't know he fractured his skull until about 4 hours later. And what happened is he broke a blood vessel and he fractured his skull, put 250 milliliters of blood internally onto his brain and pushed it, and essentially killing him in front of us. Obviously, it was what's going on. We're losing our son to the most amazing medical staffs in the area, from the fire department to the local hospital to Boston Children's Hospital. They were able to save him, do surgery that night. We then were in the ICU for a week. We were then 30 days in Spalding rehab. And to give you guys a perspective, there are 12 pediatric beds for rehab in New England. New England, for everyone who doesn't know where it is, because there's a group of people out there, it's the top right of the United States. And every single of the 6 states in New England combined fit in every state west of the Mississippi. So it's a really small area. There are 12 beds that serve New England available to pediatrics. And we were able to land one of those beds Monday morning, a week after the accident happened. He's now thriving, 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old. He's in 1st grade. He's doing all these amazing things. But it took us from nothing can knock us down to Dave is no longer traveling. Dave is stepping down as COO. Dave is relying on everyone to help out. And by the way, he's not going to work for the next 45 days. As an entrepreneur, you better have your systems dialed in to be able to walk away and your business be set up so you can tend to your family. Otherwise, why are we doing this?
And it's just something that's so scary that we never think to plan about. There's no, SOP in your company that says if this happens, something so drastic. And we had a conversation with somebody else who lost an employee, and even some other crazy things like that. We try and plan for everything, but we can't. And the fact that you're able to, persevere through this and be there for your family during this pivotal time in your life, and now talk about it in a manner of awareness to others. It's incredible. And as a father myself, like I got chills as you're telling that. And I thought about it even today or even last night too, God forbid something ever happened to my kid. There's just so much going on out there, but
you can't just, you're welcome. I appreciate like everyone. Here's my biggest thing. My wife, Carrie, and I, we've never played the game of it won't happen to us or hold them down so they can't experience life. And this didn't set us, obviously we're like, maybe you shouldn't get on that now. So like, we're more aware of things, but it was the lesson of life can change so quickly. Enjoy what you've built, enjoy what you have. Don't be afraid to ask for help at any point, but also let the kids be kids. We were told kids bounce. They do. This was just a freak accident. So like kids bounce. That's why like they can fall and they're not going to break their arm. Typically, this was a total freak accident. The likelihood of this accident ever happening again to him is like 0. But the likelihood of it happening in general was a freak accident that he fell the way he did. But everything since then has gone to the book. And when they were doing the surgery, they're like, we don't do surgery like this because it's actually written in the textbook of this is how you do the surgery. And they don't teach the textbook. They teach everything else because nothing ever actually happens that's stated in text. Well, so it was this really, we look at it till this day, he still has doctor's appointments, but we look at it and we say, everything that's happened has happened for a reason, but everything that's happened to him has been textbook play that he's just been able to thrive and we've been able to learn from and just really enjoy life since then.
That's great how it has changed your perspective, but yet you did not become helicopter parents then of like all of a sudden worried and more protective, that you still let kids be kids, but that you got a chance at, a big reminder of, like you said, being present, enjoying life. It can change in a moment, and what is really important and what's really important in your business is building a business that supports a life that you want, not just that you could take off for 45 days and the business existed without you, but that you could do that for things that you want to enjoy and be present with your family as well. That we're not building a business just to have the business own us, but to really build a life for our family.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Dave, would you say this accelerated your personal freedom from your business? it sounds like you were very busy, the COO, running the business, growing one, starting another one. What was the plan for you, and how much has that changed because of this?
Yeah. All right. So when I started the business, I at 24-ish, I really said, I've got these goals. The 3 goals are to own a ranch style house. So like New England ranch, not like a ranch with cattle. Ranch style house. I wanted to be retired when I'm 40, and I want a Lambo in the driveway. The Lambo is just a significance of like, I can go spend $250,000, $350,000, $400,000 and just say, I'm good. Like I can buy it, I can enjoy it. And I'm not worried about eating steak tonight or eating mashed potatoes. So I got the ranch house. I don't have the Lambo, but a few years ago, I was able to purchase a second home, which I was like, oh, I'll be able to travel to. And then the financial ability to be able to retire when I'm 40. If I really do like all the numbers back, if my business system's running, my business allows me to really do what I want right now. It allows me to coach. It allows me to travel. So financially, am I retired? No. Am I set up a lot better than I was 10 years ago? Yes. What this like whole thing did was put into perspective that a lot of people out there will say, man, you've got it all. You can grow, keep growing, keep pushing. And that might be your dream. And that was my dream for a long time. And then when this happened, it stepped back and I said, you know what, this business survived with me for 45 days. We got some things that we need to tighten up or change, but I can still spend time with the family. I can still travel. So when this whole thing happened, we had to spend time with Wyatt in the hospital. So my wife would go in Sunday night and stay until Wednesday evening. I would go in Wednesday night and stay until Sunday night while we had our other son trip at home that we were managing with family. So I now work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, maybe I'll have meetings here or there on like big conceptual things or other businesses that I have. Friday, most likely not. Saturday, Sunday, I don't work. So I travel in the summers. My wife's a teacher. We travel Wednesday night through Sunday every week. So it's like, no, it's a balance of the change. The big balance was my business and my employees knew me and I was part of it every day. And now I'm not there. And it was the change for them. And it was me being, I'm okay with them seeing that Dave has success. And Dave built a business that now he can go and do other things. And that's a big thing for business owners to be able to be like, but the business owns me. My employees are going to see that I bought this or see that I did this. It's like, they know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And help them get there too. But at the same point, you put your time in the trenches. If you want to go do something, go do something.
That is the big thing on so many levels, and the difference in stepping out as a business owner. We talked a lot about that recently. If stepping out, and are you stepping out too early and then they don't see, like you don't have the leadership team in place, and so then you're kind of absent from the business, or that you had built it to a place, you said you had a rock star GM, that there was a new leader in place, that it was time for them to look to that new leader.
Yeah.
And your absence didn't mean that there wasn't didn't mean the vision wasn't still being cast.
Yeah. So we've had our problems over the last year. And a really simple, like a lot of business owners are now putting in production pay or performance pay in their business. And when they're putting it into play, they are told, when you do this, 50% of your staff is going to leave because they're not going to understand what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
And when I looked at my management team, it's small for the size business we have. I said, someone's not going to survive this, when I really looked at it. And someone didn't survive it. And 2 people were going to leave. And Zach, my GM, was like, Dave, just don't worry about it. We're fine. I'll figure it out. I'll get it going. But everyone knew that there had to be some lax between it. Like Dave's going to come in and be pressured up when he gets in here. But when I look back at the entire thing, yeah, we lost 1 employee. He was never going to be happy here. He was happy for a time and then he left. And we had 2 other people that stepped up and were like, we want more. So I actually lost 1 that wasn't 100% into the business. And I gained 2 that were like, let's get this thing going. Let's get it so you don't have to worry about this at all. So it's a balance of right time. It's if you have the team, they will step up. And in an emergency like that, life or death, people are going to step up no matter what. It's after, it's the 6 months, 8 months afterwards. Are they still there? Or is it kind of like, nah, have a good one. You know, I helped you out through that. I'm just going to leave now.
Yeah. I want to kind of go back because you said something about, you know, you trying to grow the company and everybody else saying, you know, you can continue to grow it and get bigger and bigger and bigger. You said, that's not my goal. That's not my dream. And Angela just talked about that recently while we were at home service workshop about your goals and too many people chasing other people's goals. And it's important for us as a business owner to get aligned with that and figure out what our goals are and not like, you know, everybody wants to chase that 7 figures. Done it. It's great. It's not the most glorious thing out there. If I'm going to be doing things differently because it's, you know, it was that vanity thing. All right, I did it. Now what? Well, now I want to scale back because it's not as glorious as I thought. So it's very important that you're able to recognize that and say, hey, that was it, but that's not what it is today. And now we're going to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that's like my biggest like downfall in my business so far was trying to build someone else's dreams. And I've built to 7 figures, and then I've built in a year an additional 7 figures on top. And in 2022, when we were planning 2023, we are going from 3.2 to $5 million. There's nothing going to stop us. I acquired 5 vehicles. I acquired bigger talent. I acquired like $150,000, $200,000 of additional marketing spend. Personally funded all of like the trucks we financed, the new hire we hired. That's if you're looking at hiring someone, don't look at their entire 12-month salary, look at their monthly salary and say, how do we make this thing work? And then we said, we're going to advertise like crazy. And a couple things we learned from that. Okay. It's a really weird economy. This might not work in 2023. Dave now is not focused and is out of the business, our main planning season. So we got to figure this out. And just because someone looks good on a resume and hits the hiring standards that you're going to need doesn't mean, and this was, I forget who I just heard this from, doesn't mean they know how to work for a founder. Like there's a big difference working for a corporation and working for a owner founder who's like wild and like got this idea like this. And I'm like, man, now looking back at that, I'm like, that guy was really good pushing paper and training people, but he wasn't good doing what I needed him to do, was looking at the paper, diving into the numbers, and then picking up the phone and really trying to get why we're not closing or why aren't we bringing it in. And it was like, okay, so by April, we were like, this is not going to happen. So we restructured our sales program and team. So we lost a little bit of money on payroll. That's all right. Our advertising was already set. We're like, let's just keep going. What happened at the end of the year was, okay, we didn't fill all 5 trucks. So I've been making payments on 5 trucks and we didn't really need them. So cash flow, that killed us. Second cash flow was we just spent an extra $200,000 and flushed it down the drain in advertising. That killed us. Now, benefit is I got those 5 trucks at interest rates that you can't touch anymore. So I'll fill them this year. We'll be good. But when I look at that cash side of it and I'm like, man, I didn't think about my cash flow in November, December, when I'm going, oh, taxes are going to be owed. Now it's how do I make this whole entire thing work with still scaling it? But that dream of going to hit 5 million, I still want to do it, but I don't want to do it in a year. And we're not planning on doing it in 2024. Plan is probably 2025 we'll hit that. It's going to put us in a better cash flow position. It's going to put us in a stronger management and scaling position. And it's going to put us in a position that we can serve others and teach others along the way without crushing the business.
Yeah. So many important points there I'm glad you brought that up about, chasing other people's dreams. And you said one of your biggest downfalls is a business owner. And so many people do that. They chase whatever number is out there that like other people in their program are doing or what they think they're supposed to do. and think they have to do it in a timeline like you did because this is the next milestone and I have to do it, instead of authentically attaching to what you want, like those goals that you wanted before. I also want to dive into, both laughing at what it's like to work for a founder. And we talk about this a lot too, like the visionary integrator role. And if the people working directly for the founder and they're in leadership don't really score high in that integration that can work for a visionary founder, it is a mess. And we're a mess to work for. We are a disaster.
You gotta walk out that door and be like, this ain't gonna work. Like, it's nothing against the other people, part of the team. We chose to be the CEO. We would most likely never fill a CEO role. But we got this vision, and I just need this strong integrator because I'm poop scooping. I'm taking mosquito. I'm COO. I'm coaching. I want to go on vacation. My wife's going, can we go on vacation? Like, this is great, Dave. You're making all this money. This is great. We have a second home, but we never get to use it. That criticality has to be there.
Yeah.
And it has to be there in any role you are going to say, I need this. My plan and my vision is this. I need a hiring process. Can you go figure it out?
Yep.
You better trust the selection process.
Yeah. Like, the people that report to us are not the task doers. They need to and monitor that. Like, somebody needed to come back to you with cash flow. Like, whoa. This is not going to cash flow.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here going, I got the money. This cash flow thing worked. This works great. We've got it. And then I'm sitting there going, oh man, like, ugh. So I hired a CFO. I was like, we need a CFO in here. Outside a professional CFO, I can run numbers. The CFO is there to confirm what Dave's crazy thoughts are on dollars. They're never like breaking my mind, and like what they're currently doing is just saying, yes, you guys can do this. No, you can't. Let's get your books a little tighter. Let's help out over here. But if that general manager, so I run a general manager and then operation managers. I don't run, and I have a HR and financial coordinator that does, she's a high level executive assistant running all background on, I think I've got 8 businesses, all my books for 8 businesses, all the benefits, and covering my back. And then I have operations and a customer service manager. I have one customer service manager for like 3,500 clients, which is crazy in the world of customer service. We know what everyone can do, but we need people to like be really strong. Is if we're coming with a problem, people got to be watching out and being like, how do we solve this? And our timelines are probably realistically not reasonable. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, as an owner, like, our timelines are like, that should be able to, like, tomorrow. Friday, like, what are we looking at? No, 2 weeks. It's like, nah, that's not going to work. I don't need a yes man, but I need someone here that's going to be like, let's get this thing going a little faster.
Yep.
So I feel like I got a squirrel moment because I keep kind of getting off topic, and we really haven't got on the topic for the show yet. But I brought it up in the beginning. I talked about your shitty business. I don't want anybody to think that it was the ticks business. And you talked about ghost poops, which I love. I love the business model. And we had a guest on the other day talking about entrepreneurial seizures, where we just said, hey, let's just go start another business. And you wanted to do it for your GM. It's kind of like sometimes it's chasing that shiny object. I don't think this is really a shiny object for most people to want to do because it's not so glorious, the poop scooping. But any regrets in doing it? How's it going? And if you did would you do it with me?
Yeah, so I would do it again. I envy everyone that's not in a franchise that can take their current client base and just say, we're going to add another service on.
Yeah.
Because it is literally just like attach onto, and you can run faster, stronger. We've been able to use a lot of the same business principles. We've learned a lot that it's an opposite. What we knew about our marketing and who our client is for Ticket Mosquito is not our marketing and not our Ticket Mosquito client. Could be that we just don't have the name recognition where Dave's running this business. He also has this. But Ticket Mosquito, we go after hiring clientele. Ghost scoopers, we are honestly, the person that wants their dog poop picked up is either old or lazy. It's not the person that loves their dog, that takes their dog on walks and gets them, groomed every week. It's the person that has a dog to keep a companion, doesn't have the time for it, and wants to play video games. Would I do it again? 100%. 100% do it again. It hasn't been a crazy, like the cost to get into it is not crazy. We did do like a huge professional wrap. We wanted it to make it look really big. And the goal is it for it to pay mortgage. That was the whole idea, is how can we get it to pay an owner mortgage without working in the business? We're pretty close to that. We have about 130 clients right now on a weekly service. So high recurring. We've got some commercial jobs like high-end HOAs that have walking paths that we do their pet waste stations. We're on pace to add a full-time second truck this year, and the COGS, like gross profit can be like 60% plus. Like your expenses, your employee.
Right. And fuel and bags. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's pretty, but we were looking at it. Do we actually build this and potentially franchise it? Because there's a bunch of franchises that do this. Or do we build it and license the brand and license the system and how we actually pick it up? Because there's a style on how we pick it up and the tools that we use and how we do it in the software that we've built, automations, all that stuff. We're up in the air if we're going to do it, but we're now looking at how do we find people in our current service area that can say, you know what, I have a truck, let's wrap it. We can give you, say, 10 clients to start, and then you build your client base on top of that and you get a higher portion, but we do all the back end business for you. And we're looking at this as like potentially someone working 4 to 5 days a week, making 60 to 70K a year for not really doing much besides going pick up dog poop.
Right.
Where their secondary jobs, this is a good like add-on for someone's business. It's a good add-on for like a kid starting out of like, hey, I wanted to get into business, but they don't want the major risk of it. So we're looking at kind of how could this whole entire thing work. We're having a blast with it. And it's, business is always picking up, and who you gonna call? We're here for you.
And I mean, again, I love it. When we talked at the summit years ago, I had started one for my stepdaughter way back in the day. We call it Call of Duty. Their number 2 is our number 1.
Yeah.
And I love the startup and how easy it is. It's just, it's the glory of just walking around and clean up poo all day that most people don't want. So
the thing that a lot of business owners want to get into recurring business because of the nature of it. It's like, it is a lower ticket item in general, everything that I do. So you're not doing these $3,000 jobs. You're doing these like $2,450 jobs. So the $3,000 job when scheduling is this $3,000 is going to be one day, get it done. Well, my client is $1,000 over the entire year, but I got to go either 9 times or 12 times, or 52 times. Big difference. Mm-hmm. Capacity, vehicles, hiring, like you have to have that stuff dialed in and understand your capacity. If you do not, this is a very quick, oh, it snowed, I can't get to you. Okay, well, I'm leaving because you didn't pick it up. So when I talk to any business owner that wants to get into recurring, you've got to realize that if you don't show up, you will be fired. And it's not like, oh, I can get it back next week or, something came up. It's if you miss a day, you've missed a day of work, you now have to reschedule your entire time, because it doesn't stop, because next week your schedule is filled again.
Right.
Which is the beauty that your schedule is always filled, but there's very little room for error in recurring business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely different model than, like you said, the bigger ticket items.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've squirreled.
But well, we went in the trenches first. So since we went in the trenches, we kind of hit a Foxhole moment to begin with.
Oh yeah, that's a very life.
And then dove into what that made you realize and stuff like that. So we could give you a chance for another one.
Let's do it.
And then we'll finish the episode with a win. We'll go backwards with you.
So
Is there any other in business and a foxhole moment, a moment that you were in the trenches where things did not go well, and who was there for you? How did you get out of it?
Yeah. All right. So this is another, like, there's one summer, 2016 summer, I think it was. Sorry, it's gonna be 2015 summer. I went on vacation. I left my business with an 18-year-old. The Friday I was getting on the cruise ship, my truck blew up. It literally blew up. Right?
God.
Recurring business, I'm screwed now because now I have no work for him for the next week, and I have no way to get the work done. I'm getting on a cruise. Like, I can't do anything. So at that point, it was, okay, here's the deal. I need you to go to this place. I need you to get this. I need this, this, and this to be done. By the time I got back, truck was repaired, all equipment. So I had to rely on this 18-year-old who is great. That was one of those, like, oh, how am I going to fix this? Because I got like 20 minutes before cell phone reception is going to cut out. The next one, and this comes into the franchising side and why you'd actually want to be part of a franchise, because it's not just a business in a box, and it's not just someone that takes a royalty. There's team behind it that's there to help. So 2016, I get a phone call on like a Monday from my mom. Hey, Dad's going to the hospital. We don't know what's up. He's fine. At the end of the day, he's fine. But he's in the hospital for like 30 days. Within 2 hours, my one employee calls me and goes, truck will be at my house. My dad just dropped dead. I'm like, this doesn't happen. So now I'm at capacity of 2 trucks, 24 jobs a day to 0 overnight. And it was one of those, okay, how are we going to get this done? First, all right, who can help me get this truck back? Second is, how do we get these services done? And that's when I was able to call on the franchise. And I was able to say, hey, here's the deal. I got this family emergency. I've got X, Y, and Z going on. I've got no team besides me. Do you have an employee I can borrow for X amount of time? It's like June. It's like, we're slammed. This is how many jobs? What are you looking at? Yeah, you know what? We'll fix your schedule for the rest of the week. Just get them scheduled, and we'll jump into the system, and we'll be able to go do the jobs. And then call so and so who used to be an employee that can most likely help you out. Called him up and just said, hey, I got this like real simple favor. I need like 6 days covered. How can you help me out? You know, I don't want to throw the pity game at you, but employee's father just died. No idea when he's going to return. My father's in the hospital. I got to be with him. Yeah, no problem. I'd known the guy maybe 4 times, and I'm like 4 or 5 times. But the franchise was able to connect me with a former employee that wasn't working anymore. It was the summer. He was taking care of the kids, but he could work nights and weekends for me. And that's where franchising comes in big, where it's not just they take royalties, they give systems, basic systems, they give great systems. It's there's someone else that I can call and say, I've got this problem in business. How can we help this out? Can you walk me through it? Can you lend a hand? And that's where, you know, when I picked my head back up, I'm like, okay, this was a good decision on the franchise. This wasn't just like crazy numbers or like nothing that I could do. But that would be really like 2 pivotal moments that you got to ask for help when you're in it. You got to pick your head up. You got to stop, and you got to start writing down scenarios, and not the world's going to end scenarios. How do we get this done? Right? How do we actually complete the work on hand? Clients will understand life or death. Like, they will understand that someone passed away, someone had a family emergency. Your pocketbook and your bills most likely won't. We got to keep that money coming in. Breathe. You will get through it. And those nights and weekends can be long and they can be ugly, but you're going to look back and say, okay, I'm a business owner. I can ask for help, which is something that we typically don't like to do if we're forced on it. So
that's one of the hardest things as myself as an entrepreneur going through the years until Conquer 2019 was to ask for help. I mean, it was just always, I can do this. I'm going to get myself through this. And it hurt. I mean, it was hard. I mean, it was expensive, long nights, lonely nights. And, you know, I just consistently kept being so like selfish and stubborn until Conquer said, hey, it's okay. Like, we're here for you. And, you know, especially during COVID with going through COVID with Conquer, like good Lord, how many businesses did Conquer help save by being able to help and help them pivot and all that? But had I not had that resource, I don't know where I'd be today in my business.
You know, I don't know where I'd be, and I don't think I would have managed through it at all. I would have been, the world's against us. We're all screwed. This isn't worth it. I'm not going to grow. When I look at it, and it's like, man, what I know now, if I knew into 2021. Like you look back, it's like 2020, oh, world's going to end. And then when I look at it and I say, okay, everyone bought a dog in 20 or 2021. So new business. Second is my clients are going on vacation. They can't go spend 20K in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they going to put that 20K? They're not going to mind giving dear $1,000, $1,200 a year. Cut. Check, great. But then also all of the federal, resources and everything that allow businesses to stay afloat. I wouldn't have gotten any of that stuff or thought of applying for any of it. And that's allowed us to really set up and be able to, since 2020, we acquired a building in 2019 property. Since then, we put 10,000 square feet of garage space up, and I've acquired this off property. So it's like we've been able to expand because of programs like Conquer or whatever coach. If you're not being coached, get a coach in general. That just will help you get your mind like thinking at a bigger level and making it so you're not just crazy idea'd. But now, like there are other people just like you. You will be all right.
You will be all right with the crazy ideas. And it is important that there's the crazy ideas to dial those in, but then that there are people to help in those moments. Like you said, those were two moments, even though they were younger in your business, that if you wouldn't have reached out for help and like you said, okay, we're going to get it done, and absolutely found a way to, like, both of those could have destroyed your business.
And we're talking like when I look back at those numbers, 2006, I might have been doing like $10,000, $12,000 a month. Like it was not crazy numbers, maybe 20K max. And I left my business with a 18-year-old, and then I had to just hire these other people in the franchise to help me out. And then to think where we came from 2015 to 2023, 2016 to 2023, with leaving my general manager's 30, he was 29 when this whole thing happened, and left him a $4 million business. Don't screw this up. My life depends on it, right?
Yeah.
Tried. I wouldn't have been able to do that at his age and what he carried. And it's having the right people, surrounded by the right people, really there saying, no, I'm in this with you. And let's get to work.
Awesome. All right. So since we're doing the reverse order, let's go ahead and talk about a win. It could be personal, professional, something that you're celebrating, something exciting that's going on in life right now or maybe about to happen.
All right. A win. So I think it was really 2023 was the win of getting through my health with my son and seeing his resilience and how good he's doing. But also the team in which they leveled themselves up. And then the time that I was able to spend with the family. So out of a really dark time turned into all of these wins and successes that everyone can learn from. And we can now tighten things up a little bit and make them even stronger, or remove things that were like, we don't even need that anymore, because the business didn't use it for the last year. So that's my win. Really, 2023. A lot of people would say 2023 was shithole. But looking back, it really changed my life, and taught me to be present, not just physically, but emotionally, and be present for the people around me.
I love that for you and your family and your team too, because I mean, it's just a direct reflection of the leadership that you've been able to give to them to, execute at a high level when you need the most. But more importantly, the time that you now have with your family, recognizing how important that is going forward. You're going to gain so many more memories because of unfortunate circumstance that happened, but grow from it as a family too, and be able to enjoy that house and travel and all that stuff. So I'm so excited for you and the family.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, Dave. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for talking all things business, life, and everything about the entrepreneur journey and success you've had over the years. So, yeah, hold on. We're gonna redo that because I got fucking squirrel brain right there. I was on a mission right there. Lost it. Almost made it through the whole episode.
We went off the order of the episode, and you're like, "Wait a second, am I closing out then? I did the win. Am I closing it out?"
We have a system, and we did not follow a system today. It's the first
Hey,
time
that's because you have a founder here. The system's thrown out the window like as soon as this stuff happens with me.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you end it then.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of In the Foxhole. Don't forget to keep liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. We'll see you next week.